Day 27 of Three Rivers Pantry Challenge. Over halfway through week 4, and I am so ready to go to the grocery store. Like, seriously. I wanted to make chicken fajita rice bowls for supper tonight. We have no more chicken. We have whole chickens, and they were frozen solid. And if I'd been thinking ahead 2 or 3 days ago, I would have taken one out. But I wasn't, so I'm using pork chops instead. We have a lot of pork chops. These are pork chops that haven't even touched the quarter pig order that we have. These are pork chops we already had. I guess we didn't eat a lot of pork during this pantry challenge. So in the next month, I'm going to be trying to do some menu planning with some pork. But anyway, so let's get to it. Okay, so in my greased dish here, I have 3 pork chops. And the 2 that I'm using for my husband and I's fajita bowls, I kind of just took my mallet and flattened them a little bit. And our son is going to have just a pork chop. That's his. I didn't flatten his. And I'm just going to sprinkle. This is taco seasoning, but honestly, I don't know what the difference is between taco and fajita. So I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit of that on ours. My oven is set to 350. So I'm going to get those cooking, flip them over, and sprinkle a little bit on the other side. Oh, what am I doing? I'm going to do that now. There's one. I'm going to soak some of that up. I'm starting to think maybe I should cook his separate, because he will have a fit if there's any of this on there. Yeah, I'm going to have to put his in a separate dish. Okay, so I'm going to get ours in the oven. I don't think it's going to take that long, maybe 20 minutes. They're pretty thin. Okay, so while the pork is cooking, I am going to roast some corn. Whole corn. To have some roasted corn for the fajitas. So I have my big cast iron pan heating up. Excuse me, I got a tickle. I'm going to add a little bit of oil. I'm going to add some oil to my other pan here too. So I have 2 cast iron pans going. The big one for the corn, and this one's going to be for the peppers, which we're going to get started on at the same time. So wait for this to get a little hot. And this is corn from the freezer. So there's another bag of that gone. There's still a couple bags in there. And I took my peppers out a while ago, and I've just been letting them drain here on the paper towel because they were really wet. I also, my sous chef here is rinsing a can of black beans for me. That's my last can, so black beans has got to go on the list. I'm just going to warm them up in the pan here with the peppers. They won't take long. And the corn's going. Peppers are pretty much where we want them, so I'm going to put some of the beans in there now. And I'm just going to turn it down because I just want them to warm up. So I'm just going to put that on low and just let them basically warm up and stay there while we work on the corn. Alright, let's see how the corn's doing. Something's only be browning on one side. The corn, I'm just gonna take it off and put it in here, and I need it to cool off a little bit so I can get all the corn off of the husk. Yep, so I'm just gonna go right down. Ooh, that's juicy corn. Got squirted in the face 3 times already. I'm going to can and pressure can and preserve as much as I can this summer. So I don't want to be relying on the grocery stores for everything. I really don't. So, all right. I might put this back in the skillet for a few minutes because it's pretty darn wet. I'm going to give this to the chickens. They'll enjoy it. Okay, so the pork is done. Looks pretty good. Smells good. There it is. Just going to let that rest for a few minutes. And I did go ahead and throw the corn loose back into the frying pan for a few minutes. It was really, really wet, and I just want a little bit more char on that. So the rice is done. Just using basmati. And everyone's having some rice. Our daughter's going to have some leftover chicken from last night. Oh, my son didn't eat all of that, so... Okay, let me just get her chicken out of the fridge, and I'll be right back. Okay, daughter's chicken is all heated up, and I gave her some rice, and she'll add whatever she wants to that. If we have any raw carrots or whatever. So, I'm just going to cut... Make sure I turned off the... Yeah. Pork into strips here. Let's plate it up. So I'm going to put some rice. I'm going to save some rice for our son. Oh, actually, he doesn't eat this rice. What am I thinking? He has a different kind. So, just to get a little bit of flavor. Okay. Next, some and the pork. Oh, this is my last little container of guacamole. I'll save that in case we... And there you have it. Pork that looks like chicken. Fajita bowls. And it looks really good. I'm going to steal this. I'm just going to try a little bit. Okay, with the pork, it's amazing. Doesn't always have to be chicken. Okay, that's the end of day 27. Day 28 of Three Rivers Pantry Challenge. It's a Friday, and Friday always means pizza, which I've shown you how to make, and I actually already made the dough, but I thought, well, I'm not going to show you what we're going to be making for supper. I still have some things to use up in the house. One of them being some canned pumpkin, because I have quite a bit frozen that I processed last fall. So I thought, I don't want to make a pumpkin pie. I don't want to make pumpkin muffins or pumpkin bread. So I found this recipe we're going to make. Pumpkin bundt cake. The family's kind of wanting something sweet for the weekend. We haven't really had a whole lot, so we're going to make this today. So ingredients are 2.5 cups of sugar, 1 cup of canola oil. We don't have canola oil in this house, so I'll be using coconut oil. 3 large eggs, room temperature. My eggs are always room temperature. 3 cups all-purpose flour, 2 teaspoons of baking soda, a teaspoon of ground cinnamon, a teaspoon of ground nutmeg, half a teaspoon of salt, a quarter teaspoon of ground cloves, and 1 can of pumpkin. And if you want some powdered sugar or confectioner's sugar to sprinkle on top, you can. So let's get making it. Okay, got my bundt pan here, and I greased it up really well. And bundt cakes are my favorite cakes to make. One, because they're so easy. Everything goes into one pan, no worrying about making sure everything's equal. It cuts nice, and it fits on my cake platter really good. So we've got that ready. I'm just melting a little bit of coconut oil in the microwave because I didn't have enough of my liquid left to make a cup. I ended up getting about 3/4. So I'm just melting a little bit of my solid coconut oil. I mean, that's why I have it. It's just a pain. Gotten too used to the convenience of having it already liquefied. Okay, that should give me a cup. Okay. All right. We are ready. So the first thing we do is combine the sugar with the oil. So we need 2.5 cups of sugar. Boy, that seems like a lot of sugar. Half cup. But it is a cake, I guess. 1, 2. And okay, so there's 2.5 cups of sugar and then 1 cup of the oil. And we're going to blend these together. Just till blended, and then we have to add the eggs one at a time. Okay, so 1 egg. 2 eggs. 3 eggs. Just gonna add the flour, which is 3 cups of flour. Okay, 3 cups of flour. Baking soda. How much? 2 teaspoons. One. So if this turns out really good, I will definitely link the address for this. I think I got it off of Google. I don't even think this is a Pinterest. I just Googled what to make with pumpkin, canned pumpkin, and I came up with this. 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon. So that was the half a teaspoon I just used, so that's only 1. I need to put 1 more teaspoon of baking soda. Just realized that. Okay, now that's 2. Okay. And 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. Doo-doo. The same for nutmeg. Teaspoon of nutmeg. Kind of a fall dessert, but that's okay. Love pumpkin. Love fall. Smells good. Okay, half a teaspoon of salt. Salt. My salt is one place if a recipe calls for it in baking, I do add it. It is important. It reacts with the baking soda to help it rise. So there is a reason if a recipe calls for salt. Unless I'm using salted butter in a recipe and then I don't add the salt because there's already salt in the butter. But okay, and a 1/4 teaspoon, just a little bit of the cloves, because a little bit of cloves goes a long way. 1/4. Okay, So it wants me to add separately the pumpkin and the flour mixture. So we will do that. I'm just going to give this a stir. Okay, I'm just going to put a cup in at a time. There's one. This will be so good. It's been so cold here the last couple of days. Winter finally, the polar vortex, I should say, arrived in our part of the world. It was through here about a week ago, and then it warmed up again, and then it came back with a vengeance. Just trying to get the rest of the pumpkin out. I think the family's missing their Friday night snacks. Okay. And we're going to pour this all into our, I can't remember if I told you or not, my oven is preheated to 350. This smells amazing. It's a nice batter too. Well, if it tastes as good as it smells, it's going to be a winner. Okay. Whenever I think about, whenever I make a bundt cake, rather, I think about that episode from My Big Fat Greek Wedding. If anyone's seen that, where his parents, the parents of the man she's marrying, show up with the bundt cake, and they say, "What is it?" And they say, "It's a bundt cake." Bundt cake? Bundt cake. Like they'd never heard tell of it. I love that movie. So I think of that every time I make one. Wow, that is really good. Okay, scrape off. That's not the finger I licked, by the way. Okay, so there it is, ready to go into the oven. So it goes in for 350 for 60 minutes. So that's good. By the time this comes out, the pizza will be ready to start making. So I will see you when I'll show you what it looks like cooling out of the pan. We'll see you in a minute. It's a pretty good looking cake. It smells amazing. Maybe I should test it for you. Let's try it. So it did take the full hour in my oven. It's still a little bit warm, but that's okay. It's really good. Really good. I'll be sharing the recipe with you. Pumpkin bundt cake. A few more things out of my pantry that have been hanging around. It's a good way to use up the pantry. Day 29, Three Rivers Challenge. Just a couple of days to go. And it's not going to be too much of a video tonight. We're actually going to eat up the rest of the pancakes and blueberry syrup from the other night. But I am adding our ham steak that we got from our quarter pig. So I'm just going to fry that up. We're going to heat up the pancakes in the toaster and heat up the blueberry syrup in the microwave. And kind of have supper for dinner again tonight. It's Saturday. It's cold. Oh, it is so cold. Everyone's a little tired, so this is what we're having. So there was a pretty thick piece of fat on that ham, and I am just going to throw this into the freezer and save this and render this down. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to waste it, but we're not going to eat it. But I'm going to render that down into some oil. All right, got the ham over here doing its thing. Oh, that smells good. The dog smells it too. I feel like somebody's watching me. Oh, he moved. You feel like you're being stared at. He smells that ham cooking. All right, back to the ham. Still a little bit frozen in a couple spots. All right. I'll bring you back when we're done. Okay, the ham steak's all done. Just gonna cut it away from the bone here, and so I didn't film supper last night because it was pizza night, but I have to tell you, we put honey garlic sausage from the quarter pig on it, and it was probably the best sausage I've ever had. It was amazing. And the pumpkin cake I made that I did show you, that's been a big hit. Even our son, Aiden, liked it. So that's saying something. Okay, so there's our simple supper for tonight. Some pancakes for the other night, the rest of that blueberry syrup, and our ham steak from tonight. Very simple, but it will fill bellies. I think we all have a little bit of the winter blues right now with this month that never wants to end. And it's been very cold for several days in a row. So, nothing too fancy to show you tonight. Not a whole lot of cooking tonight, but that's what we're having for day 29 of the Three Rivers Challenge. We'll see you tomorrow for day 30. Day 30 of Three Rivers Pantry Challenge. 2 more days to go. As you saw, I am doing a bunch of potatoes. Some will be for tonight for mashed potatoes, and I'm actually going to do a shepherd's pie tomorrow, so might as well just make up all that I need to make the shepherd's pie. So tonight's going to be pretty simple Sunday dinner. I cooked 2 chicken roaster. They've been done for a bit. Still used to my roaster, and I forget it cooks quicker. So I've been letting them rest for as long as I can because I think they got a tad bit, they were in there a tad too long, but I think they're going to be okay. I might make up a gravy just in case to help. And I'm excited because today, bring into my pantry, we're going to try some of the carrots I pressure canned a week or two ago and make sure they pop open. So I think I'm going to grab 2 jars. And let's see if we hear that sealed sound when I open them. Okay, let's see. Well, I definitely heard it. Yep. Smell good. They smell like carrots. So I guess it was successful. Wow, they actually smell good. So a little tip I've been learning from Jessica over at 3 Rivers Homestead is do not waste the juice that you have in these jars. So I'm going to pour the juice out into another jar. And save it. Okay, so I'm just going to put them in my steamer here. And take long because pressure canning made them softer. So basically I just want to heat them up. So I'm not really going to cook them. And some of my carrots fell out. But yeah, she uses a lot of her fruit juices, her vegetable juices. She'll use the veggie juices into, what do you call, sorry, I'm trying to break, in her roast and her soups and things. So I will try it. And she said that's nutrition and it's, you know, you get, I love it because I get 2 things for my buck, right? I get my carrots and that. So I'm just going to turn them on for a few minutes to heat up. Okay, I think I will get the chickens out of the roaster and get some gravy going. Okay, I'm going to make some gravy. That's going to make very good gravy. That is, I only added a tiny bit of water to the roaster pan. So that is going to be very flavorful. So I'm going to let this sit for a minute for the grease to get to the top. It's not too much actually, it's not too bad. And I'm going to let that sit for a bit. And the potatoes are going, the carrots are going. And it's going to be a nice Sunday meal tonight. So I'm only going to use 2 cups of the drippings for the chickens to make my gravy, and I'm saving 2 cups to start my chicken broth. I think it's going to be probably the best broth I've ever made, honestly. So as you saw, I just shook up. So this is just a 1/4 cup of flour with 3/4 cup of water. It's the way my grandmother always made it, and she made the best gravy. She always had to make it for Christmas and Thanksgiving. Easter, whenever we had a dish that had gravy and Grammy was there, and she always had to do the gravy. So I'm just going to bring this to a boil. And once it's boiling, I'll add this and whisk her up, and we're going to have some nice gravy tonight. It'll be nice for leftovers too, for maybe hot chicken sandwiches. That sounds good actually for tonight. So I thought I'd use the Danish whisk here to make the gravy, but I think it's not bad, but I need the real whisk to do it. It's not that bad, but I guess there's a reason why they call it a dough hook, because it's good for the dough. So I need to get my other whisk. That's better. There we go. It's already pretty thick. so I'm just gonna let this stay on low. I might even put it down to simmer, because the potatoes are still not done. So I pulled all the chicken apart. I got a bunch of bones already in the roaster, and I have three chicken necks in the freezer. One was fresh from today. When we get our chickens from our farmer there, they always include the necks, which I appreciate because I freeze them and wait till I have it for broth. So I'll add the 3 necks there too. Okay. All right, we're just gonna let that simmer for a bit while everything else finishes cooking. I shouldn't say everything else, it's just the darn potatoes. Okay, this is my husband's plate. Day 30, pantry challenge, one more night, and I believe it's going to be shepherd's pie tomorrow. So, and this is just some applesauce, homemade applesauce, homemade pickles, and I have to tell you, the carrots are amazing. They are so good. I didn't put salt in mine because we'll add salt if you need them, and they do need a little bit. But yeah, they taste amazing, and I pressure canned them all myself. So I'm pretty proud of myself tonight. So there we go, end of day 30. We'll see you back here tomorrow for the last day. So I've got, the carcasses literally fell apart while I was taking the meat. So this is 2 whole carcasses of chicken in pieces and 3 frozen necks that I had. And that's the rest of them because I already made up a batch. Now, when I make chicken broth, I have celery, you know, whole carrots, everything. I don't have a lot of that because we're still a day or 2 left of the pantry. But I do have these baby carrots that I froze, organic baby carrots that I froze fresh. Didn't parboil them or anything. So, it's an experiment I'm trying. And I'm just gonna, maybe 2 cups or 2 handfuls at least of baby carrots in there. And I'm going to add some bay leaves, if I can find them. Right here. I'm going to add 2 bay leaves. It's hard to do one-handed, so I'm going to set you down. There we go. So, 2 whole bay leaves go in there. I think I'll add a little bit of oregano too. So, I'm going to add a little bit of oregano. Oh, I just remembered. And I'm just going to cut it in, I think I'll do quarters. Skins and all. It really makes a difference in the flavor. It really does. And you're gonna strain it all anyway, so it doesn't matter. So, 1 yellow onion. And I have some garlic here that we're starting to get. Well, that one's yucky. Some of that in. Yeah, it's getting really dry, so it's perfect to go in there. I'll even put the skins in. That's the last of my summer garlic right here. These 2 heads. In there, so I got some onions, got some carrots. I'd love to have some celery, but I don't have any celery. I already made chicken broth once, so all the scraps I've been saving, the celery, the carrots, onions, all that already went in that broth. So this broth's going to taste a little bit different. Okay, and this is homemade apple cider vinegar. I'm just going to add a little bit of a glug. It helps draw out the minerals and everything in the bones. And this is made from apple scraps that I made last fall when I was coring and peeling and apples and stuff for applesauce. Put it in here, filled up with water. I weighted it down. Waited, I think it's 2 weeks or 4 weeks, drained it, covered it again with a coffee filter and elastic around it. Let it go again until I got a mother, a SCOBY. And yeah, so apple scraps vinegar, cider vinegar. It's absolutely fabulous. So I've got 2 of these. So there's that. So now I'm just going to fill this up with water. And I forgot to mention too, there's 2 cups of drippings from 2 roasted chickens that I did for supper. I end up getting 4 cups out of it, and I used 2 cups for gravy, and I saved 2 cups and just put it in there to kind of help start it, the flavoring. So I'm just going to fill this up with water, and we're going to put it back into the roaster. I'm going to put it up on probably 300 for the next few hours while we're still awake, and then I'll probably turn it down to 200 when we go to bed, and then I'll turn it back up. And I'm going to let this go at least a day, probably 2 days, but no more than 3 days. Okay, so I'm planning on showing you how to pressure can it, because I've already done it once with pretty good success, so I feel like I'm ready to videotape me doing it. So Day 31, the last day of Three Rivers Pantry Challenge, at least for me. Jessica over at Three Rivers, who's doing this challenge, she does it next month too. This was our first year doing this, and though we have plenty of meat, I mean, I have enough meat to take us through to sometime in the summer. We don't have enough of a lot of other things. So next year, I might try and go for 2 months. But for this year, today is our last day. And tonight I'm going to make shepherd's pie. One of our favorites. So, and I'm making a really big batch. I don't normally make this much, but I have so much mashed potato left over from last night. I asked my husband to peel the potatoes for me for supper last night, and he peeled like 60. So it was a little more than we needed. So anyway, so I'm gonna make a big batch of it. Might just freeze, some of it, and then we'll have a freezer meal for down the road. So I just got 2 pounds of hamburger frying in my skillet. I'm warming up the mashed potatoes a little bit in the microwave, just because I find it makes it a little bit easier to get them out of the bowl and spread them into the casserole dish. Okay, so while that cooks, got my handy dandy casserole dish. I'm just going to give it a little bit of a spray. So it's not quite, it's a little bit till supper time. Truthfully, I would have started this morning, got it all together, and then just put it in the oven when we were ready for supper. But I had my big, huge roasting pan on the stove, making chicken stock that I showed you. And I could not lift that thing and put it over onto the counter. And I forgot to ask my husband to do it this morning. He had to go into work today. Today was a day at the office day. So I had to wait. And he just got home. And if you hear strange noise, it's just everyone in my house deciding to work out now. So alright, we're gonna go ahead and let that cook. So this shepherd's pie is very, very easy, and it's not got a whole lot of ingredients. It's the way I grew up with it. I love it. It's ground beef. I know shepherd's pie is traditionally lamb, but never had lamb. My mother certainly never used lamb. So, yeah, very simple ingredients, but it is so good. And isn't simple? Sometimes simple is just good. I don't find we need to do a lot to stuff. So. You're not going to get fancy here. You're really not. Probably about the fanciest I get is when my husband asks for like chicken cordon bleu for his birthday dinner. That might be the fanciest we get. Okay, so I'm gonna turn you around because again, I got somebody over on that end working out. I'm just gonna start putting a layer of the potato. I don't always put a layer of potato first, but honestly, we have so much of it, I'm not worried about it. So, I mean, look at that. That's how much we have left. So I had to switch to voiceover for this part of the video because everyone in my household decided that this was a great time to work out, was getting very loud. So I'm just getting some salted butter and I'm going to just put like a couple of pats on top of the potato each time I put a layer of potato in. This just makes it a little bit buttery and gives it a nice crust when it goes into the oven. Butter always makes everything better. So I'm just using some frozen corn for the next layer. We didn't have any leftover cooked corn for many meals lately, but if you have cooked corn, go ahead and use it. I don't have to cook this first because it's just frozen corn and it will cook in the oven. I cannot tell you how happy we have been with the beef we got from our local farm. I mean, it has just been incredible. Tasting, quality, it's been amazing. Very happy. Hamburger's done. There's not a lot of fat, there really isn't, but I'm just gonna put it into this bowl to take it over to the island so it's easier. That's all the grease right there. That little teeny bit. I mean, it's not even maybe a quarter teaspoon. Like I said, really happy with the beef we've gotten. Okay, so while that was finishing cooking, I just went ahead and put another layer of potato with another little bit of butter here. So now it's hamburger's turn to go down. So I'm going to do about half the hamburger. Boy, I hope I got a big enough dish here. I usually do this in a loaf pan. But like I said, I'm making a big batch of it. Okay. Okay, we're just spreading this around. I'm gonna add some more corn here. I really should have moved this. This is for something in a minute. Oh my gosh, that's way more potato than I'm going to need, but it wasn't. Because this is a much bigger dish. But I'm doing the best I can here. Hold on just a second. Sorry, I had to ask them to quiet down for a minute while I finish this. Okay, so like I said, I would rather have had a little bit more potato on top, but that's okay. We're going to roll with it. And then a little more butter. I like to do it, normally when this is coated, I do it right across, and it makes a nice little crust on top. Okay.
This is my geography teacher. I have geography first period and text second period.
Okay, that's good. My son is starting new semester, so we're just talking. I just wanted to show you. There it is, dished up. This will be my husband's. He's had off the last few days because they went quadmestering here in Ontario, where they have 2 classes every 2.5 months instead of 4 classes for first half of the school year and 4 the last half. So that's what they've been doing. So he starts his new quadmester tomorrow. So here it is. Smells good. Like I said, simple food, but good food. And it will fill bellies around here. So that is all the meals for Three Rivers Pantry Challenge. I'm going to do another meal plan. I've actually got a couple of things planned for the rest of this week. And I did an inventory. After I eat supper, I'll come back and tell you just what we went through, how much we went through during this month-long challenge. So I thought it'd be interesting, at least for me, to go over what we used up. And this is just from the freezer. I didn't take huge stock. Like, I didn't write down numbers of things from the pantry. I kind of wish I did. But I will say, I think I went through at least 30 jars of home canning. Jellies, sauces, apples, tomatoes. I think there's at least 30 empty jars. I know I have a lot of empty jars. I originally said I have more empties than full. No, I have another whole cupboard still full of jars to use up over the next couple of months. So, for instance, I think I had at one point 20 or 25 packs of oatmeal, steel cut oatmeal. I don't know how I got so many, but I had a lot of boxes of them. I think I'm only down to a few packages because I ate a lot of that for breakfast during this challenge. So my Costco list is very long. I just hope we can find things. So let's see what we went through. So out of the freezer, we went through 12 pounds of ground beef this month. Like, when we started, it was like 3 rows of ground beef in my freezer. Now it's down to 1 row. So 12 pounds of ground beef, 2 beef steaks, 2 pork tenderloins, 2 tubs of Greek yogurt that I had frozen, a package of plain beef sausage, 8 packages of turkey bones. That's like bags I had saved. And I ended up finding 1 more bag of just necks and things that I had saved. That I'm putting in now, the turkey chicken stock I'm doing now. So 8 packages. That was a lot of unnecessary taking up room with all those carcasses. So I'm glad they're gone. And I made beef stock too. That was like at the very beginning. Was that at the beginning of the pantry? It might have even been before January. It might have been after Christmas. I still have 1 package of beef bones left that I need to roast up and get some stock going. I froze this batch because I didn't have my pressure canner there then. So I'm going to pressure can this. We'll see how it goes. We got rid of 2 packages of the steak strips that I use for stir fry. We got rid of 9 packages of chicken breast. We eat a lot of chicken. We got rid of 4 full whole chickens. Wow. I think that's it for chickens. So I went through 5 blocks of salted butter and 2 blocks of unsalted butter. A lot of my bacon didn't require butter this month, or if it did, it required only a little bit. We went through a lot of mozzarella cheese. Because we have pizza every Friday, and I think I used mozzarella for a couple other things. But we had originally, like, I bought the big block of it from Costco, and then I divided up. So each package had 2 blocks in it, which I thought were enough for pizzas. It actually was too much, so I'm going to have to cut them smaller. But we went through basically 1 whole package, except for 1 little bit left of a mozzarella from Costco. And we went through every bit of cheddar cheese we had. Every single bit of it. 1 big bag of frozen blueberries I had frozen. 3 bags of apples, which we still... And that's about all we went through for fruit. We have so much fruit left. So this month coming, February, I'm going to focus on maybe making some cobblers and some crisp. And I still have lots of jelly to use up. So I kind of don't want to turn it into jelly. I'll have to think on what else. Muffins. I can make some muffins. I think that's what I do. So we went through a few blueberries. We went through 1 bag of blueberries, 3 bags of apples. I had 3 loaves of bread in the freezer that our son eats. He's only got 1 loaf left. I went through 5 bags of corn, big bags too. I had a bag of California mixed vegetables that went. We went through a bag of the corn on the cob I had frozen. We still have 1 bag left. 3 big bags of carrots. A bag of butternut squash, which we'll just forget about that. A big bag of peas. 13 bags of French fries. Remember I told you our son lives on French fries? Yeah, 13 bags of French fries. I don't think I had a single French fry this month. I'm trying to think. I don't think I did. 3 large bags of bell peppers I had frozen. I'm down to 1 big bag and 1 or 2 of the vacuum seal bags. So that makes me a little nervous because, oh my goodness, bell peppers are so expensive here. I can only imagine how much worse they are now. And yeah, so the standing freezer, it's hard to tell. We went through a lot because we ended up getting that pig order halfway through the month. So that ended up taking up a lot of space. But thank goodness I had a majority of this gone already, or we might not have had room for all that pork. There's still lots of meat left. I am not worrying about meat other than chicken breast. Chicken is the only thing we got to worry about. I am not worried about meat for a while. We still have quite a few vegetables to go through. I'm going to try really hard. We have so many bags of broccoli. We didn't touch a single bag. Didn't touch a single bag. So on my menu plan this week, I am doing broccoli at least once. And I'll try and I'm the only one who really eats it. So I don't know why we have so much of it when I'm the only one who eats it. My husband will eat it when I put it in a stir fry and things. So yeah, we got a lot of broccoli and several bags of cauliflower, which if you haven't had roasted cauliflower, it's amazing. It almost tastes like popcorn. I'm not kidding. It does. So yeah, we got our little chest freezer that holds all the vegetables. That's the one I noticed the huge amount of room gone. And our little skinny standing one that had all the fruit in it. I think Grace had smoothies a couple of times. So we might have gone through more fruit than I realized. But so for February, I'm not doing a whole month. I'm doing a week at a time this time. I just went out when I was doing the inventory to see what we've used. Just 1 second. There's those cheesecakes. Okay. I totally forgot what I was saying. Oh, yeah, the menu plan. So I'm only going to do a week at a time. I liked having a month at a time, but I found this last week, I think just because we were running out of things, we kind of started changing it up a bit. But I think a week at a time is going to probably work pretty good for us. So I'm going to try and do this every week. So I've got this week taken care of. I've already taken out a couple of the meat things we're going to need for this week. I've taken out all the meat things we're going to need. And I just want to give a quick tip. If you do forget to take something out of the freezer, especially ground hamburger, if you put that in your cast iron pan, it will defrost in like no time. Like I took out those 2 pounds of ground beef I used for supper tonight, frozen solid, rock hard, put them in my cast iron pan, and within 3 hours they were thawed enough I could put them in the fridge. Maybe you already know about it. I don't know, but it works for chicken breast, ground beef. What else have I put in there? I even put a roast and got it enough that I could at least open the package, and it wasn't completely thawed, but it was enough that I could get it into the Instapot or whatever I was cooking it, slow cooking it. Yeah, so just a little tip. So that's the end of the Three Rivers Pantry Challenge. I enjoyed doing it. It was fun. It made me realize what I need to can more of and start being more aware of what we're stocking up on. Yeah, so starting to stock back up again if I can. Supply chain issues are starting from what I'm hearing around. We haven't really been in a store a whole lot, so it'll be interesting to see how bad it's gotten. Oh, and I forgot out of my pantry, we went through 25 pounds of flour. This whole pantry, like probably a little bit more because I started using stuff in my container first before I went after my big container. So I made a lot of bread and I'm making bread tomorrow actually. So flour is on my list of things to get. So yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed doing it. I love all your comments and your encouragement with all the videos I made. I am not a professional cook or baker by any means. I am self-taught. I watch a lot of videos. I read a lot of cookbooks. And I cook with love and bake with love. You know, my family's happy and I'm not perfect. A lot of things sometimes don't come out. A lot of things sometimes don't come out. But I'm glad you liked watching them. And if you like these videos, I hope you'll, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe and spread the word and give me a thumbs up. And I hope you keep tuning in. I've got lots of videos planned. The challenge may be done, but I've got lots of things going on here. So as always, take care, God bless, and we'll see you in the next video.